I'm really excited for today. Mac Miller just had his estate release Balloonerism, his 2014 mixtape, I believe, finally onto streaming services, which is something I'm yet to hear, and I have strong belief that it will be the final full project to be officially released from Mac Miller, given his tragic passing. So I'm really keen to get into this one, and then we're going to be playing some Rocket League while we do so. So without further ado, I'll have some more to say about what this project means, but I want to do that in between the songs. So we're going to have the first song play, which is an interlude, I believe, called Tambourine Dreams, and then that's going to roll into the second song with SZA, called DJ's Chord Organ. All right, let's get into it. I mean, I kind of had to expect it to be some tambourine, right? I wonder if it's Mac hitting that shit. Okay, that was it. That's the Tambourine Dream. Interesting. There's some really nice, like, static effect that he's added to this one. Wow. It's so crazy hearing new Mac music. I know this isn't new, but still new to me, and for it to be properly distributed is really exciting. And I love how the estate has handled everything. This is great, like world building. Ooh. Oh, there's SZA. I didn't know they knew each other like this far back. This would have been before Control came out, so I don't know how. Clearly Mac had some way of knowing about SZA before she really had any proper fame. This is funky. Ooh. I miss this like type of SZA. I love this instrumental. Yet to have any Mac on this Mac album. I think it's going to be really special once he like does actually come in, because he's built this up so well so far. It sounds like I'm at a circus. It's a bit like haunted. Oh, there he is. It's crazy to hear something new from him. Oh shit, we're losing. I need to bring this back. I got 10 seconds. I was too into it. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, come on. Last second goal. Huge. It's really interesting to have that whole song and Mac just come in at the very end. Oh, please don't score. Thank fuck. Wow. I mean, that really was two intro tracks kind of built into one. I love SZA's addition there. And, you know, it's crazy to hear, you know, a song coming out now of what was her a decade ago now, along with Mac, and being aware of the kind of space that they were in during the recording of this. Because I believe that Balloonerism came out between watching movies with the sound off and Good AM, which when you look at Mac's whole discography is a real split between the way that he writes and presents himself, with everything from Good Movies and before that was a real innocence of Mac. And from Good AM onwards, he becomes a lot more vulnerable with what he writes about, and is a lot more mature in his themes and what he chooses to explore. And I think it's really cool to get this glimpse now of what he was making in the transition between those two eras, which is something that you also get to see in Faces, which I believe was made very soon after this one, which was the latest thing that the estate put onto streaming services, which is another really great mixtape, as this one is also a mixtape. It was interesting to have that song and you know, Mac just to throw in some years at the end. He's still really yet to say anything on this one, so I hope he does so on track 3, which is Do You Have a Destination?
Okay, I went sleep, faded, and I woke up.
Yeah, there he is. Oh.
But I gave my life to this shit, already killed myself. We ain't the same, homie. The world afraid of change, but it changed on me.
I love like how he harmonizes with himself there in such like a fun, quirky way. There's so much going on in this one. It's like it's full like surround sound with the way that it pans around.
My bitch have a nightmare, wake up, make me some cereal. She knows I love my cereal.
He does love his cereal.
Am I okay? Fuck no. Just so, not so. Need to let the drugs go. Trying to find heaven, I get high but never come close. We still wonder why we'll never learn to love. It's because all the air is filled with gun smoke.
There's such like a authenticity to Mac's songs like during this kind of era, between like watching movies and Good AM and Faces, but it really shines throughout his whole career of truly not holding back how he's feeling and being able to express that in his lyrics and in the production in such a fun and free way, especially, you know, as it gets to things like Swimmings and Circles. It's a lot more serious in a way, but he doesn't lose that kind of fun, even when he's talking about more serious topics, and it's the way that he presents himself in life, and he presents himself the same way in his music, and that's really, really nice to see. And I think this album so far has really reminded me of that. You know, he hasn't, so it's his first song of talking in the last 3 songs, but it's truly a Mac project, and I'm excited to keep going.
And you hear the whispers of an innocent, ignorant child in the ocean, get to swimming or drown. How long has it been since you smiled? Girl, I love the way your body fit inside that gown. Landscapers don't wake her up. I'm a slave to the baseline. Conversation topic got
baseline junkie.
There's no one on the other end of that telephone. Let's fall asleep to the metronome. There's a paradise waiting on the other side of the dock. Whoa.
I love Mac's little woes.
Having conversations with friendly hallucinations. Having conversations with friendly hallucinations.
Damn. It's not even my favorite so far. It's really nice. That's my favorite so far for sure. I think that's easily my favorite lyrics from the album so far, and Mac gets the most kind of real. And I guess with what we were talking about with where Mac was when he made this one, of being transitioning kind of between that childlike state and the more adultery that he found himself in later in his career, he's really drawing that comparison on this one, and, you know, giving the examples of this person's parents and their love life, and, you know, it not all being perfect, but finding ways to cope through it through these friendly hallucinations, which my interpretation of that is kind of the reality between who the person actually is and the hallucination you have of them in your head to make them seem better than they actually are, which is really common, and especially at the younger ages where, you know, you're a lot more susceptible and vulnerable to the realities of the world. It's a lot easier to kind of make up those narratives in your head, before you have those learning experiences of what you need to avoid. I just lost this fucking Rocket League game, but that's okay, because that was a great song.
Nothing is impossible. Do the shit together.
This is some classic Mac.
Raised to be a leader, not a navigator. Wrote down on scraps of paper. All roads lead to the same confusion. I mean, all roads lead to the same conclusions. Found my can't read her mind.
This is the exact flow I picture when I think of Mac Miller.
It's kind of crazy life could be this simple. Nothing's coincidence. Guess I understand he always got the chills when he saw a room full of rolled up $100 bills. Yeah. Even pills turn to powder.
I'm going crazy in this game.
But my past
5. Cooking. I love that flow though. That was such a classic Mac song. Realistically, this is probably the last thing that we get ever from Mac Miller, and this is really nice. It's a really great reminder of who Mac was and what he stood for and what made him special. And that song was just everything encapsulated in that. It was a classic Mac flow with, you know, his classic character and stature and the instrumental and just everything, and you know, plenty of drug themes, which is no stranger for Mac, and it was just really nice.
Breaks down the pain.
Ooh, that was a good goal.
She breaks down the pain. She rolls up the weed. She far from a saint. She's all that I need.
Hey guys, so talking about weed like a woman.
Hardly she speaks.
Classic.
She makes up her bed like she makes up her stories. I wish she could feel me. She never felt nothing.
Ooh, that's a really interesting effect.
Baby, let's get stoned. Put on a record. Can I play you one more song?
You forget like songs that were made in this era, just how much longer they would go for and how many times they repeat the chorus, which is really nice. It makes it so much more full than a lot of modern songs. That was probably my least favorite so far. I think potentially just because the theming of it is something that, you know, he's not really offering anything new in the perspective of smoking weed. But it's, you know, I think I'll probably give every song on this thing a pass just purely because it's so nice to hear Mac again with something that's at least new to me, and I'm sure will be new to most people that will listen to this thing. And it's really nice, and I think, you know, for something that is basically a decade old now, so far it's really aged well, which a lot of records from those years, which were kind of getting into the adjustments of how electronic production can work, and the formalities of that without it sounding too tacky. You know, there's definitely elements of it, but it's really well done, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So we'll move on to the next track, which once I score this goal here, I will tell you the name of. What?
Don't be afraid to put your 2 cents in.
I'm doing that right now. I love how like there's so many Mac lyrics that are able to just like speak directly to the listener in a way that many artists aren't able to achieve.
I was driving up to Shangri-La to get my meditation on. I was thinking Lamb of God, she was thinking Saint Laurent. She said, just how super is a supermodel.
Shit. Ooh, I love those chords there. Those sound like they've been added. They sound really nicely mixed. I don't have much to say on that one. It was cute. It was nice. But I don't think it added too much to the whole story of Balloonerism so far. But we'll move on to the next track, which I've heard people talk about as their favorite from the album. So I'm keen for this one.
Did no one ever teach you how to dance? Nobody ever taught you how to dance.
Teach me how to dance, Mac.
There's only so much time. Yeah, somebody died today.
That sounds
I saw his picture in the funny papers. Didn't think anybody died on a Friday. The hospital was useless and everything was quiet but the music. Recently I only meet peace when in deep sleep in the same dream.
I got full body chills so far on this one. It was the first song to do this on the album. This is lovely. I love the piano. And he's just talking so nicely about really, really sad things.
Somebody gave birth to a baby boy. I saw his picture in the funny papers. 11 pounds named after his Uncle Gabriel. Cause when the snake starts slithering, you spot the chameleons. You realize you surrounded by reptilians.
This is one of the best instrumentals so far, I'd say. And the best narrative from Mac as well. That might be my new favorite. I think that's my favorite production on the record. It really sat with Mac in a way where it just complemented his storytelling on it so well and made it so authentic with everything that he was saying. Because the things that he was saying, as with, you know, the funny papers is such a interesting title for a newspaper, finding humor in the reality of life, because, you know, most of the things in the newspaper typically isn't too happy. It's you know, normally a lot more centered around dramas and like he says, deaths, and such. And to find humor in that is something that throughout Mac's whole career he's really succeeded at, in bringing this kind of like, oh well, like, you know, is what it is kind of mentality to these really gruesome realities, and it's a really nice perspective to be having on life that Mac took throughout his whole career. He's just so happy, yet given many of the situations that you can hear that he was in through his music, he shouldn't be as happy as he is, yet he manages just to live through this radical optimism that's just beautiful. There's a lot of themes of kind of childhood innocence and growing up that I'm getting throughout the whole album.
On 4th Street, the orphan children play on the jungle gym. Little Timmy broke his arm again on the monkey bars. Johnny's dad got a nicer car than all the other kids. He becomes the alpha and picks on everybody else. The boys always chase Julie around the sandbox. Claire just waits till she gets picked up by her grandpa. All of this before the brainwash starts. Before they get polluted, start thinking like adults. Me, I used to want to be a wizard. When did life get so serious?
I love this.
Whatever happened to apple juice and car wheels?
Just capturing the magic of childhood and how it gets corrupted in one song is so cool. I think that song best encapsulates the album so far, with the themes of it. The story that he tells there is so real and special, and, you know, the way he's able to portray that narrative is amazing, of, you know, the different dynamics within the playground and how they all interact and what causes them to do so. I think the highlighting of, you know, the alpha is the one that has, the dad has a nicer car than the rest, which gives him that status, and, you know, that's an element of that within the, you know, the childhood zone, but then conditions that to become, you know, how much do people chase status and, you know, designer clothes and luxury goods to prove that they're better than others? That's the whole point of those items, essentially, that a lot of adults are sucked into as a way to validate themselves. And it's conditioned from these young examples that Mac's giving here. And, you know, like the boys always chasing the girls around the playground because that's what they think they're supposed to do, and there's no one telling them no. And that then conditioning that kind of male behavior of how they then perceive women. It's all coming from that childhood experience which Mac's describing there. And it takes a lot to break out of that. You know, Mac wanted to be a wizard, which is, I think, a really beautiful thing to have in there, as, you know, it's just so far removed from reality, but then having these instances that really set in what reality becomes is a really, really cool perspective on childhood and what growing up is like. It's a really interesting effect on this. It sounds almost like a video game. I love this build-up.
Yeah. Well, my good days are exactly like the bad ones. I've always been terrified of ending up normal. Things that we all search for.
Terrified of ending up normal is such a cool line. This really feels like an element of its time in the nicest way possible. It just really is that mid 2010s feeling.
Not scared of growing old and dying. Feel this where the answer lives. You wear the garments. Everybody needs to dress the mannequin.
That was a cool one. You know, with the themes of like anything being possible and being scared of being normal. And I believe the analogy of the mannequins being, I think he referenced somewhat of everyone being a mannequin and dressing it the way that they please or seem fit to, you know, I guess fit in. And there's ways to fit in, or there's ways to make your mannequin more fun and exciting and more yourself. And Max definitely chose that avenue and is advocating for others to do the same, which is a really nice message that I liked. It was a cute one.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin. I know that Mac and Rick had a really special relationship.
Open up your eyes, I told you wake up. Wake up. All of y'all are still bitches, but a smile just in place of your makeup. The best is yet to come. E.T.'s not dead, he's just a little bit faded. Please don't give me any credit, that's how people get jaded. Please don't nod your head, and please don't tell me I made it. Cause people starting to get worse once they think they the greatest.
Yeah.
The best is yet to come. I told her
he's right too.
Wonder if the blind mice even wanna see. I wonder if the deaf father ever hear his daughter scream. Is there a heaven? Can you see the God in me? I don't know, probably.
This is a really special message. There's just so much self-awareness required to talk in this way. It's crazy to be asking that question so openly in your early 20s. He's just so vulnerable. Wow. Like, there's no other artist at the age of Mac during this that would ever write a chorus like this. Piano is great in this too. What a song. I think that's the most vulnerable song and the most open one, which is a crazy compliment to give, given just how common that statement could be said throughout this whole mixtape. I loved the opening verse, especially talking about how, like, you know, don't give me my flowers, because people become so much worse at their art once they think that they're the greatest. And I remember there was an interview recently with Billie Eilish and Phineas where they talk about this.
And I think that we started playing like some music, and I remember Phineas going like, "Oh, this guy liked the smell of his own farts," and I was like, "Oh, it's so interesting." Like, yeah, for sure he does. Like, yeah. He really was loving how it was smelling. And then we were going through all these albums that we know and kind of labeling them as like, oh, did this person like their smell their own farts when they were in the middle of making this? Right. And then we got to some people and I was like, what about them? And Phineas goes, no, that's fear. And so then we decided to, we not even decided, we realized that every single thing in the universe can be put in one or the other category.
And the good, the
Which
fun,
is
just to be
art.
really clear, is fear
Or fart.
or fight.
And she admitted that during her album Happier Than Ever, you know, after she'd gotten so many accolades for When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, she thought her fart smelled great. And that is now arguably her worst record out of all of them, because there's just too much ego in it and an unwillingness to change and adapt and make something better because you already think you're the best. And you look at her latest record, Hit Me Hard and Soft, and she's been able to remove that ego and step back to the creative spirit that she did have, and it's just such a more full and innovative project that's really a true testament of the artist that she is, not just in her accolades. And Mac being able to plead people to go like, no, don't give me the credit, I don't want it yet, I'm not there yet, is such an insane awareness to have as an artist, especially at that time, how much accolades he had already received. And I think it's no coincidence that that song is called Rick's Piano, because Rick Rubin is someone that is known to ground artists and give amazing critiques for their music during its development so that it can become more pure. And his role, for as popular as he is just purely to be a listener and an ear. And he's able to give so much feedback from that because he has such an amazing understanding of the world. And I think a big thing that Rick's able to do for people is remove that ego. And that's a pure reflection of that. And I think if there was anyone that Mac was going to ask, what does death feel like, it would probably be to Rick. So I think that also makes a lot of sense for that to be the main chorus here. What a special song. And we're now on the final track. That came a lot quicker than I was expecting. But I think that's really nice that Rick's Piano was the prelude to this. It really gave a lot to think about, and I hope this one does the same, as it is almost 12 minutes long, which is crazy. The final track, Tomorrow We'll Never Know. Let's go. It's great atmosphere.
You walk through this world with your head above water. Shoes made of
Just the
copper,
way he talks is just so piercing with the honesty. It just hits you.
They feel just like we do.
Oh, what a save.
They feel just like anything at all. You've been waiting for answers. These
The noises of like
answers
kids screaming going throughout this whole song is such a special atmosphere to encapsulate for the end of the album.
The pressure is building like buildings you jump from. The streets that you walk on are shallow. What do you feel as big as your shadow?
That's such nice lyrics. It's such an atmospheric close off for the album. There's something really sinister coming on, and the kids' voices have stopped. This very like, I feel like this song is kind of encapsulating the transition from childhood to adulthood, and you know the niceness of the whole song is really going away here as things start to become real, I believe, is the analogy that he's going for. Oh, what a save! It's been a long instrumental here. The childhood voices have kind of come back now, but it's like distorted. It's twisted now. This is really interesting. I've got like the telephone coming through my left ear, and then the coo 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 coming through the right ear. It's a really interesting soundscape. It feels like I'm in a horror movie. If I wasn't playing Rocket League, I'd be pretty scared right now. Like, I'm ready for Michael Myers to fucking murder me. This is a really intriguing closer. I definitely want to read into the symbolism of this one, because there's a lot to dissect that isn't said in the lyrics, but rather the production. I don't know what the fuck's going on right now. Well, that's the album. That ending left me feeling really empty. It was more of a soundscape than a song. I think a very audacious ending for what is a mixtape is really interesting. I wanna look into more about what that final song meant, because I'm sure that it wraps up the album really nicely, but I it's not something that I'm gonna know off first listen. But what an album. That was really, really special, and I'm so glad that this project that many would have never seen the light of day has become accessible now, and I'm really grateful for that, to be able to experience this new Mac project, which is in no way new, but still new to me and new to many. He was such a special soul, and that has really been conveyed through this album once again, of just the vulnerability of his lyrics, and the way that he approaches that vulnerability is something that is purely Mac, and is something that has been sorely missed in the modern music scene. I am definitely seeing his influences come through, but there's yet to really be someone like Mac, and I don't think there ever will. He just was so special, and he had a vision not only in his lyrics and his singing, rapping, but in the eye for the production and the vision for the whole project and how it wanted to feel and sound like. But it really was that emotion driving through in every song that he is so good at conveying and conducting, and I felt that once again in this album immensely. It's been a few days since I recorded that video, and I've listened quite a bit more, and I really love it still, but it's a very tough album to listen to casually, because the more you listen, the more dark themes that you can uncover, especially given the perspective of how this was released and Mac's passing. Looking into this album with that lens is draining. It's really tragic at times to hear how Mac was thinking during these times and what eventually ended up happening. But that really makes me appreciate it a lot, as well as just how open Mac was being. So I really love it. I'm feeling an 8 on this album, and I'd really love if you subscribe to the channel. I'm still brand new, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.